I'm David Gray in Calgary. You're watching News World Today. A tropical punch. That's what Environment Canada is calling the weather system that is just drenching British Columbia's south coast. There's already flooding in many areas. Now there's concerns it could even get worse.
The rain is just starting. There's plenty more to come down.
Environment Canada says get used to it.
2005 is starting off in a very extreme way as far as the weather goes. We've had the cold spell, now we're getting the rain, and we're very concerned about how much rain is going to come down with the system that's outside right now.
This system has been dubbed Tropical Punch. In the next 3 days alone, this system could dump twice as much rain as we normally get in an average January. The storm is similar to one back in 2003, which flooded parts of Squamish, damaged bridges, and caused a number of deaths.
And it is shedding its moisture into the jet stream.
The tropical punch is much stronger than the standard warm, wet weather we get on the south coast, known as the Pineapple Express. Tropical punch starts further south, meaning it brings more moisture with it.
It looks like the heavy rain will be ending on Thursday, so get your boat ready until then.
Chanel Pertap, CBC News, Vancouver.
And joining me now from a nice dry studio in soggy Vancouver is meteorologist David Jones. David, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
You know,
Anytime.
there's people out there say, you know, the weather isn't news. Come on, it's raining in Vancouver. That's not a big deal. That's just winter. But I guess you're getting near ark building time in some areas out there. Is it that bad?
Well, we certainly are. And yeah, the weather does rain a lot here on the coast, but this is an extremely unusual storm. This storm is affecting all of British Columbia and parts of the Yukon, so it is quite unusual.
All right, for people in the country who are just hoping that their nose doesn't freeze off on their way out to their car, it's awfully hard to get that sympathetic about Vancouver. But tell me why people are taking this a little more seriously than normal.
Well, the impact from this storm are enormous, and they stretch right across the province. This all started just shortly after Christmas, when Arctic air made its way throughout British Columbia, in fact right down here to the coast in Vancouver and Victoria, where we don't normally see that much Arctic air during the winter. And of course we had 50 centimeters of snow that fell on the east coast of Vancouver Island, around places like Sydney and the north part of Victoria and Nanaimo. And about last weekend the weather started to change here. We saw milder Pacific air shift in here from the southwest. So here's the scenario. We've got cold Arctic air all across the province, and then the wind shift to the southwest, bringing in moist Pacific air, but not only moist Pacific air, super saturated Pacific air, hence the tropical punch.
So does it just pick up all this moisture off the ocean? See, we kind of benefit here in Calgary, and that's why perhaps I'm not all that upset about this. It's just I'm looking out for my own interests. I apologize right now, but it's about what, +4, +5 here in Calgary. We're just at the end of a long snap, and it's because all that moisture falls on BC that we get the nice warm dry air here, as I understand it. Is that the way it works? Have I got that right?
You've got that bang on, absolutely. The mountains of British Columbia essentially force all the moisture out of the clouds in the air above us as it travels across the province. That air then sinks down over the prairies on the lee slopes of the Rockies, and that subsiding air warms up and gives you wonderful Chinook conditions while some of us are suffering.
All right, then at least I'll continue to feign concern here while it's going on in Vancouver. I mean, is it the city where you are right now, though? The city's well prepared for this kind of stuff, isn't it? Or is there why is it, I guess this is the real question, why is it there seems to be all these flooding problems in Vancouver when it seems every year something like this comes through? Is there just not better preparedness?
Well, you know what? That's a good question. I don't think it's so much that with this particular storm. This is a little bit of a quick turnaround from cold weather into excessive rainfall, and I think that's where the problem lies. We had that period of cold weather for 2 weeks. The ground hardened up, snow piled up in some areas. That snow hasn't been cleaned out of the drains and gutters of houses and streets and around all the municipalities of the southwest coast here. So we've got this incredible rainfall, which by the way is now pushing 300 millimeters on the outer coast of Vancouver Island at places like Port Renfrew. We've had this incredible rainfall on top of frozen ground. The ground's not absorbing it because there's this cap on the ground. Okay. Ice essentially formed in the cold period. So that's why their problems have been excessive. We've seen this kind of rainfall before in Vancouver, but maybe not immediately following an extended cold period.
All right, any break in the forecast? Is it going to get better before it gets worse, or you're looking at me as if, no, don't even think about it?
You know what? It looks tough through about Thursday here on the south coast because we have a tropical storm that's injecting really, really high water content air into this storm, and that's our problem. And we don't see that shutting off until about the end of the week. So until then, the tropical punch will continue. The rainfall is going to be excessive. The freezing levels are rising. The avalanche hazard is enormous.
Yeah.
Roads are closed. It's really nasty out here.
All right, David, in the meantime, buy some bigger boots. Thanks very much for joining us. I appreciate it.